Good evening, Mission Control. Well, you can tell fall is definitely coming. Little change of outfit here tonight while I'm out here working. Got the old hoodie on, and football season started. Well, preseason started yesterday. Go Hawks! Good game for them. I hope everybody else's team did well. It's always fun to see the new blood come into football season and see what they're going to do. Always gives a little bit of hope, and also lets me know that the snow is coming a lot sooner than I had really hoped it would be. Fall is definitely here. All right, so tonight what I want to talk about, kind of a quick video hopefully for you guys. Just some quick updates after the reunion. You know, everything got all jumbled up as I went through and was spending time with family. Had a great time there. So excited always to spend time with family. It's great. But now we got to get back in the saddle here. So I got a good old to-do list. Where to go? That's over there. There it is, right over there. Got my to-do list tonight, and I've been out here working. I wanted to give you this update. What I wanted to talk about tonight is some of you have been asking about regulations and things that we have to do in order to support the microgreen aspects of what it is that we're trying to do, you know, being able to sell food to people. And we really care about food safety. We don't want to get anybody sick. So we actually reached out to two groups of people. First was the food safety branch of our Washington State Department of Agriculture. They're our local USDA representatives. And they actually came out here and walked through the building with us, and we got a pretty good review from them. There's some things we need to fix. I'm going to show you those in this video. But overall, from a food safety perspective, they're very happy with the facility. They're very happy with the process that we put in place. You can see behind me, if you've been following around, this all looks a lot different. With the help of the reunion, the family that was here, we had the Martian minions were back out here, and we actually reset up this entire area. So we got our hand washing station over here, got the refrigerator behind me here, and then we have just some storage and a working table here. I'm going to come back and talk to you about this in just a little bit as we go through some of the things they'd like us to change. But we got this all taken care of. They're very happy with all this. They're very happy with the stainless steel purchases rather than wood. So let's jump into some of the things they asked us to fix. Well, boy, another problem with it being fall is it's getting darker a lot earlier. Now tonight I just happen to be out here. I think it's past 9 o'clock. But you definitely can tell that the evenings are getting closer and closer to when I get off of work at 5 o'clock. And eventually it'll pass 5 o'clock. It'll be dark around 4:30 our time. So tonight it's hard for me. My eyes, I got to readjust to having this big spotlight on top of the camera again. And when you stare at the camera too long, you eventually all I see is a big white blur. So I'm trying to learn where to put my eyes again. Anyway, kind of fun doing that. We're here at the first station that they'd asked us to do some repairs on. And we already knew it, but it's just getting confirmation. First, we need to get rid of the galvanized steel. That was a no-go. I've seen other farmers do this exact same thing. So if you're watching this video and you want to get certified for food safety in the state of Washington, get rid of your galvanized mesh. It's got to go. So one of the tasks that I have is to actually redesign this particular solution. So let's talk about what I like about it first, and then we'll get into the don't like. So what I like about it, the height, I definitely want to keep this structure. I don't want to replace the structure. This is a great structure, and it's the most economical structure for two reasons. One, we already bought it. That's a big one. And two, actually for the length that we have here, we actually, this is the most affordable thing you can do is buy this pallet racking. Everything else is more expensive, and then you have to take more care of it. Like if you did wood, you have to paint it all. So I like the length of it. In fact, we might actually want to end up putting another one of these in, just like this, so another section at some date in the future, but that's in the future. So what needs to be fixed, though, a few requirements, and completely open your ideas here, is we need to be able to clean it a lot easier. So we're going to be looking at trying to find some flooring. I have some cool ideas. They have this like roll cement stuff. You actually roll it all out and then you spray it down with water. So if we flatten this, I think it's 3/4 inch, 1 inch minus actually, I think is what it looks like here. It's a gravel below. So if we flatten that all down, smooth it out, level it, and then take some of this roll of cement, it looks like some pretty cool stuff. We can roll it all out underneath of this, spray it down with water. It sets as a concrete form, and then cleaning this actually becomes a lot easier because Mrs. Martian spends a lot of time picking up seeds and stuff from below the drying rack and really anywhere on the processing lane. So we'd like to get a roll that goes from the front all the way to the end there, and that would allow us to keep the floor cleaner, which means it would be faster to clean this thing. And now back to the point is we'd really like to be able to just kind of spray down the surface here. So I'm thinking putting some lumber underneath of here, or a piece of plastic or something, but if I did lumber I'd have to paint the whole thing, or maybe just wrap it in plastic to keep it waterproof, keep it from mildewing, molding, etc. So we put something underneath of here to create this a nice basin essentially, and then line the inside of it with plastic probably. And then we can put a drain down at this end, and I can connect that basin into the main drain system of the building. And then you could just spray it off. So then the next thing that we got to do is come up with what will be the new surface. It has to be food safe, and I've still got some more research to do here, but I am leaning towards nylon as being the thing that we would use, like a screen door mesh. I think that would be good. Too big a mesh and the microgreens fall down through it. Too small of a mesh and you can create kind of a mess if you push it into it, they could turn into a gooey mess. So anyway, I'm thinking nylon mesh on top, but instead of just a solid sheet like this, I think it was Mrs. Wrangler Starr that gave us this idea of actually putting in like trays this way that you can flip over, pat, and kind of get the stuff to fall into the basin that you built, and then just spray the basin down after you're all done and flip it back over. Not a bad idea. So what would we build that out of, how we put it all together? That's one of the things that we need to do here. So this is a big one. We knew about it already, but it's one that we need to get to. So another thing that we need to do, you can see up here above me, this is the fan bank that we have, and there's some wood up here. And again, this is one of those things that we knew about that we just need to take care of, and we haven't yet. But we're going to, hopefully the first week in September, I'm going to take some days off and we're going to come out here and do some big projects. But we need to paint, all wood surfaces need to get painted. Makes them easy to clean, stuff won't stick to them, mildew, mold, all that type of stuff. So wood surfaces got to get covered. This galvanized steel's got to go. So there's one other thing we need to fix. Let's go check that out. Okay, here we are. We're at the bubbler. Now, the rebuild of this worked really nice. Very happy with it. Drains a lot better. But one of the things we need to research is this PVC pipe, is it food grade? And probably, I think the answer is going to be yes. But then the next question is, did I use food grade glue? And that, I think the answer is no. So we've got to check that all out. And then we'll have to rebuild the just the pipe that goes inside. So that's about half a day's worth of work as far as cutting it all up and getting it in there. But that's not bad. 3 things, and 3 fairly basic things that we can fix very easily. But everything else that we do, the hydrogen peroxide that we use to decontaminate things, disinfect it, the washing that we use, the method, the greens cutter. The greens cutter is actually getting reviewed by them at the Washington State Department of Agriculture because it has these nylon fibers in it. Hey kitty. Nylon fibers right here. And those things are a little bit harder to clean than just the stainless steel and aluminum that's on it. So we have a question about that. Hi Fuzz. You say hi to everybody. Oh, so you see the cat right there. Before we do any processing, we actually have to clean everything out here. So the fact that she's here right now is not a problem. But when we go to processing, we can't have any animals or critters out here after we clean everything. So it's all. Let's go back up front and talk about some regulation type of legalese that's important for everyone to know. So one of the last things we talked to the regulator about is some legal definitions that are important for anybody out there who's just getting into this stuff. These are things that no idea about, so hopefully this will help you out if you're just getting going. And that is the difference between raw agricultural product and food. Now, I'm not talking about food like just I'm going out to eat food. I kind of am, but I'm not. This is actually a legal definition. So let's talk about raw agricultural product, because it's a little bit easier to understand. Here's an aquaponic bed, and we got plants growing in it. If we come in here and we just cut the plants off, put it in a bucket and give it to you, nothing wrong with that. That's called raw agricultural product. As long as we put on our label, wash before consumption, the buyer basically takes on all risk. Now, negligence aside, because negligence will always get somebody in trouble, but if we take good care of our product, we use good clean water, which is one of the things that we have to do, and we make sure, most importantly, that the aquaponic water only comes from the bottom up and never touches the edible part of the plant once it sprouts and is above ground, then we're good to go. But if we cut this product and we take it over and we start packaging it and sell it for retail, and we make our customers think that this product is actually ready to go and you don't need to clean it, then it's called food. It's ready to eat. So food is product that you take, like this, I think we're going basil right here, and you take it, you clean it, you process it, you cut it all up, you put it in a retail package, and you basically say, here you go, you can start eating this. Once you do that, it's considered food. Now, microgreens are kind of in an interesting little area where they're in between what we would normally consider like raw vegetables, like a fully grown head of lettuce, for example, or a strawberry. And regulators tend to think of them more like sprouts. This is really important because sprouts can harvest disease pretty easily. Salmonella, E. coli. There have been lots of breakouts with sprouts, and that's because you sell the entire thing, seed and all, and the seeds are what I understand actually contain or can hold the pathogens that we really want to try to avoid. So regulators tend to look at microgreens as sprouts rather than greens, which are, of course, we're not selling the seeds, we're actually cutting everything off just like you would lettuce or anything else. Leafy lettuce, you cut everything off, it just takes a little bit longer to grow than microgreens. So they're going back and they're checking the regulations because we're kind of in this little gray area. So we're really waiting to see what they come up with there. We're hoping that we can be raw agricultural product. If we end up being in the food category, again, that's legalese for not raw agricultural product, then there's some things that we'll have to change here, and let me talk about that. Right now I'm sitting at the packaging part of our process lane. So what we do here, we lay out all the containers that we need to package. We clean this all down first, of course, spray it down, put out the packages, and then we start taking greens and we put them into the packages, whether they're bags, like these bags here, to go to bulk distribution or customers, or if they're retail packaging that we have as well, little clamshells. It's at this point where you go from the drying rack to this position where we may transition, and may because the regulators got to go check this out, we might transition from raw agricultural product to food. Now, the reason why this is a gray area is because if you're out in the field, like let's say strawberry picking, a lot of times they just pick the strawberries right out of the field and they put them into a clamshell container and they send it to the store. They don't wash it, don't do anything like that. You're just getting raw agricultural product. That's what we do. But because they're the microgreen thing, it's kind of one of those areas that need to be researched. So, let's assume the worst. Let's say that the state and the feds come down and say, you're going to be food. Okay, what do we have to change? Let me walk behind you here and let me show you. Back to the beginning. So here we are, we're at the entrance of the building. Now really, the only thing that needs to change is when we leave the drying rack and we go into the cooler, the step after you go into the cooler, because what we do is we dry everything and we throw it in the cooler until we can package it, and then we take it out of the cooler, we take it to the packaging stations and we start packing everything. So the only thing that needs to change is that the area where you would be doing your food packaging actually needs to have, I think the key words are, easily cleanable surfaces. And it needs to be fully contained, so you can control everybody and everything going in and out of it. Not like air, you don't have to contain the air or anything, but you gotta make it really easily cleanable. Oh, the kitties are hunting. So this is the entrance to the building right here, and this is the area that I showed you where we had moved the fridge to. We got our hand washing station, and we got this little table here that's just right now being used for storage in a working area. If we are considered food, then what we'll have to do is pour a cement slab here, and then we'll have to raise some walls, which is not hard. We'll have to move the sink back away from the wall, from the existing building wall, and then we'll have to put a wood wall in there, another wall, and then if it's a wood structure, which it probably would be, we'll need to line the inside of it with some of that easily washable surface. They have, what is it, like sheets of plastic essentially, textured, I forget what it's called. But we basically have to put that up on the areas that would be easily splashed. So, about a little bit higher than waist high, and do that. That's not hugely bad at all. So we're in a really good spot, I think. If the worst thing that we have to do to change our operations is to enclose this area here and put a cement slab, that's actually going to make it really nice to work in, and it'll be easier to warm it in the wintertime. Just that area can get some focused warming for Mrs. Martian. Always keep her happy. Don't need a Mrs. Martian popsicle. That's bad. El bado. So yeah, that's not a huge problem. So the regulator visit was actually pretty good. A few things that we need to change, and one big one that is being checked into for us. But overall, the food safety procedures that Mrs. Martian has put in place are superb, and I certainly would trust anything she does. She's very clean and does a good, thorough job, so she's getting a nice product. Let's see here. On the product side, we do have 3 customers going right now that are restaurants, and 1 customer that is a grocery store, and the grocery store is selling out of our product. So we're getting some really good feedback. People like the product, and that's really good news for what we're trying to do here, getting sustainable food and energy to our local community. Right now, it looks like we are doing that, but in order for us to get to the next technological step that we want to make, HAB 2 out there, we're definitely going to have to get the revenue in from the microgreens to help pay for all that research and development. So I'm excited about that. Boy, I think that's a lot. Actually, what was going to be short ended up... Oh, I got one other thing. So another thing, if you're just getting into microgreens or really any agriculture and you want to start distributing your food to larger retail areas like Safeway or Trader Joe's, World Market, those are grocery stores in our area, our part of the world. Fred Meyer is another one. There's the federal regulations, there's the state regulations, and they're actually the easiest, believe it or not. And rightfully so. The commercial regulations established by the actual stores themselves, they're the more difficult ones to actually meet. So we are starting the process of learning what those regulations are. There's a lot of them. Not on the Fed side or the state side, but on the commercial side, just the vendors, they're basically competing with everybody themselves. They want to know, like, basically if you have like a Walmart, they want to say that their regulations are the best and their food is the most safe and it's the most well inspected. Customers come buy from us. Well, if you have another one like Costco competing against Walmart, and Costco says no, I'm reminded of Adam Sandler's movie. Shampoo makes your hair clean. Conditioner makes it soft and silky. Which one is better? Anyway, that's the exact same thing that's happening here. You have Costco saying, no, our regulations are better, and Walmart going, no, we'll increase our regulations so that we can say we're better. And then these guys get in a tit-for-tat fight, and all of a sudden the guy who's stuck in the middle is just the farmer trying to sell their goods, and all of a sudden you've got to be like a kabillionaire to meet all these regulations. So we're not. We're just going to have to do it the hard way. Lots of prayer. God, please let us get certified and regulated really soon. That'd be great. And pray and do our work. We're trying to really study the regulations and figure out everything that's required. So we got to call some third-party inspectors that will tell us the regulations. They'll come out here. They'll inspect the area. Be a lot more thorough, a lot more intense in a lot more areas than just food safety. And they look at like your employee records. What are you doing? How do you do hygiene? Where you get your materials from? How do you source it? Are you slave labor? Stuff like that. They had one too. Anti-terrorism. Anti-terrorism in agriculture? What the heck? The world we live in today. Anyway, so we're going to be starting to work down that road, and we're also looking into getting certified organic, because the microgreens we have are definitely organic. The only thing we have is the cocoa coir, and we just have to buy from a supplier that has certified organic cocoa coir, and then we put clean well water on it, and we buy certified organic seeds. So should be a slam dunk on that one. We'll see how that all goes. That's going to be quite a bit of in the future for you. Hopefully in the next few months we'll have an update on that. But just wanted to give you some updates on regulations and where we're at. Okay, hopefully this video is helpful to those of you just getting into this. We had to learn the hard way. We're still learning the hard way, so hopefully it's good for you. And hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter if you like. In the meantime, everybody, this is The Real Martian. Out.